Welcome to this YouTube channel. In this video we are going to talk about the world in 2100 top 10 future technologies. So before starting this video, like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. It's difficult to foresee. One can only guess what technological marvels are ahead in the next few years, let alone 8 decades. Undaunted, we've compiled a list of 10 futuristic technologies that should be available by 2100. Number 10. Brain-linked virtual reality. What is real? Morpheus asked in The Matrix. In terms of the senses, real is merely electrical signals processed by the brain. Kurzweil's nanobots would then find and disable the brain's different sensory inputs, e.g., the retina, ear, etc., rendering the person utterly unconscious of their surroundings, the perfect sensory deprivation chamber. The nanobots would replace the lost signals, providing the brain's cortical areas with false senses and a new subjective experience. The person would feel transported to another universe. Number 9. Utility fog. Utility fogs are a swarm of nanobots or foglets that can take on the shape of nearly any item and change it on the fly. Stores thought of it while imagining a futuristic seat belt. The intelligent cloud of interconnected snowflake-like foglets may morph along with the movements of anything around it, including passengers and cars. Utility fogs demand a high level of technological complexity. Each foglet would be 10 microns in diameter, with an onboard computer operated by an artificially intelligent system, and a dozen telescopic arms forming a dodecahedron. 2 foglets connected form a circuit distributing power and communications across the network. The foglets would not be able to fly, but instead form an octet truss when held together in all 12 directions. Number 8. Space-based solar power. Our civilization struggles to combat climate change, and transition to a more sustainable energy economy may lead us to believe that our seemingly insatiable energy requirements will never be met. The idea of space-based solar power has been around since the 1960s. Peter Glaser envisioned solar-powered satellites capable of sending solar energy down to Earth's surface via microwaves about 60 years ago. Since then, several solutions have been presented, with Japan leading the way with a concrete plan. The SBSP system would place a Japanese orbital farm 22,400 miles above the equator, transmitting energy to Earth through laser beams. Each satellite would target a 1.8-mile-wide receiving station capable of generating a gigawatt of power, enough to power 500,000 households. For safety, the receiving station should be in a desert or on an island. Number 7. Mind uploading. By the year 2200, many humans will have chosen a life entirely digital, free of biological restraints. With mind uploading, or entire brain emulation, a biological brain will be meticulously copied. The scans would record memories, associations, and even personality peculiarities down to the molecular level. Mind uploading is still a mystery to futurists, but a vital step will be to copy the important areas of the brain, especially those connected to a person's sense of self, namely the parahippocampus and retrosplenial cortex. This could involve destructive copying, when a person's brain is chopped or physically dissected to record their memories. The information may be pasted into a machine that could translate it into a working mind. To function normally, an uploaded person would need a virtual body and environment. A key scientific and philosophical challenge is whether this is a true transfer of consciousness, and not merely a brain duplicate. Furthermore, it is unknown if conscious self-awareness can be recreated in digital form. Worryingly, each upload could be a zombie that looks and acts like a genuine human, but is actually a scripted bot. Number 6. Weather control. Our species won't be able to entirely control the weather by the end of the century, but we can make a dent. California has been seeding clouds with particles to induce precipitation for nearly 50 years. During the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing, authorities launched 1,100 rockets into the skies to cause rainstorms. Laser pulses are even being fired into thunderclouds to control lightning. Future weather engineers could build gigantic wall-like structures to prevent tornadoes from developing, or massive arrays of offshore turbines to extract energy from hurricanes. According to a 2014 research, a wind farm with tens of thousands of individual turbines may cut peak winds by up to 92 miles per hour, 148 kilometers per hour, and storm surges by up to 79%. That would effectively weaken a hurricane by a factor of 10. We might even design a weather machine that creates a programmed atmosphere. A fascinating idea involves launching a thin global cloud of small transparent balloons into the stratosphere to shade or reflect the incoming sunlight. Each balloon would have a mirror, a GSP to track its location, an actuator to control its direction, and a small computer. The programmable greenhouse gas would be lifted by hydrogen to a height of 20 kilometers. The millions of mirrors would reflect the sunlight back into space. This AI-driven approach could change global weather patterns and turn marginally livable places into temperate zones. Number 5. Molecular assemblers. Do you love 3D printers? In his groundbreaking work Engines of Creation by K. Eric Drexler describes hypothetical molecular assemblers. An assembler, according to Drexler, can manipulate individual atoms to construct a desired result. Anytime a member of the Star Trek crew uses a replicator to make a hot cup of Earl Grey tea, you've seen a molecular assembler, which some futurists call fabricators. Drexler argues that biological assemblers already exist, constructing complex things like bacteria, plants, and even us. Using the same logic, he predicts we'll be able to harness the mechanical qualities of the ultra-small to create objects of any shape, form, or consistency. Fabs may usher in an era of radical abundance, allowing us to make objects and materials that would otherwise be unachievable, or more accurately, from the molecules on up. But these gadgets may be used to make familiar commodities like meals. To manufacture a steak, for example, the fabricator would take raw components like carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen and arrange them into amino acids and proteins. Number 4. Geoengineering. Sadly, climate change is likely irreversible. No matter what we do, the quantities of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere will continue to warm the globe until 2100. We'll have to start geoengineering the world to stop rising sea levels, megadroughts, superstorms, and mass extinctions caused by climate change. Injecting stratospheric particles to manage solar radiation, injecting sulfur aerosol to cause global dimming, and simple remedies like tropical replanting to restore carbon balance are only a few examples of geohacking concepts. A large space reflector, ocean fertilization to create carbon-sucking algae blooms, and ocean alkalinity augmentation to make the ocean less acidic are further proposals. There is no scarcity of ideas, and we will not be limited to one. The issue with geoengineering is that if it fails, we could destroy our world and become reliant on it. We shall have no choice but to rely on complicated climate models and supercomputers for safety and efficacy. Number 3. Mind-to-mind communication. Progress in communications and neuroscience will make humanity psychic. Direct mind-to-mind contact will theoretically lead to a hive mind, a large network of interconnected brains working together via the future internet. In such a future, the individual may dissolve, giving way to a communal mass consciousness. Number 2. Fusion power. A 2 megawatt microwave pulse heated low-density hydrogen plasma to 80 million degrees earlier this year in Germany. The experiment didn't produce any energy and barely lasted a quarter of a second, but it was a critical step toward harnessing nuclear fusion, a highly promising energy source. A single heavy nucleus is created from 2 lighter ones, unlike nuclear fission where the atom's nucleus is divided into smaller fragments. The ensuing mass change generates a huge quantity of energy that scientists believe can be used to create clean energy. Fusion energy may eventually replace fossil fuels and conventional nuclear reactors. Number 1. Artificial lifeforms. Scientists of the future will be able to design and create new organisms from scratch, from microscopic synthetic bacteria to redesign humans a la Blade Runner. Artificial life, ALIFE, is a new field that seeks to recreate biological phenomena using computers and other synthetic media. Synthetic life is already being researched. Synthetic genomics and the J. Craig Venter Institute constructed an artificial bacterial genome with only 473 genes earlier this year. More advancements in this area will help biologists better understand how cells work and categorize critical genes. These building block cells could be used to create creatures that can digest plastic and hazardous waste and act as remedies within the body. A new endeavor co-founded by George Church of Harvard Medical School seeks to develop a synthetic human genome. Aside from powering cells with synthetic human DNA, the same technology might be utilized to construct artificial organisms and even designer humans. Any of the technologies listed here could transform our culture. The converging consequences of technology are often difficult to predict. Using brain-linked VR, mind uploading and AI together might create a hybrid computer-based civilization with real humans, mimicked brains, and artificial intellects. Geoengineering may incorporate weather control systems and nanoparticles in the future. So on. What do you think about this video? Do let us know down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.